Hello and welcome back. And today I'm going to talk a bit more about the decisions we make and what's sitting beneath them, and how most people don't struggle because they don't know what feels right. They struggle because they don't know or they don't trust enough in order to follow what does feel right. So it's just another kind of slight subtle angle from this decision making process. Now, we all have a really natural inner yes and a natural inner no. It's not complicated, it's a very simple response that the body has to feeling into a certain situation. It's a feeling in the body, it's a sense of expansion, as I spoke about yesterday, or a sense of contraction if it's a no, or it's a quiet knowing either way. It's kind of, it's very obvious when we're trained to tune into it a little bit more. But it can often become confusing because somewhere along the way, many of us learn to override and ignore those natural signals of the body. And it usually starts really early on. And this goes with those beliefs that we kind of took on when we were little. And it might look something like, you need to be polite instead of honest and direct. It's not good to upset other people. You must go along with things just to keep the peace. And you're not important, so don't make things about you. So we learn over time to override our no and we silence our yes generally. And over time, we just stop listening altogether to the body. So we kind of lose touch with those subtle signals that the body gives us naturally. And it's not because it's gone away, it's just because we've learned not to trust that and override that signal. So then as an adult, it can look like saying yes when we mean no. We don't want to do that thing and we just say yes anyway, just because it's easier, keeps the peace or whatever. Staying in things, jobs, relationships that just don't feel right, they just don't fit. Overthinking every decision from the mind, just analysing every option, but just coming from the mind. And constantly looking outside of ourselves for answers, because that internal compass has felt unreliable to us. And we've just chosen to ignore it, override it. But the truth is, it's not unreliable at all. It's just been overridden. And the way back isn't through the thinking mind, it's through dropping into the heart space and starting to rebuild trust and start to tune into again to those subtle signals that the body gives us. And self-trust is built in really simple, quiet moments. It's about the small choices we make on a daily basis. So just noticing things like, might be something you're eating. Does this feel aligned with me right now? And often that's a very useful place, an obvious place where we override what the body's asking for because we just choose to do that. There's many times when I can think, there was something in front of me that my body's like, no, you don't really want that. But my mind's like, yes, you do. So noticing when something feels off and acknowledging that, and then just pausing instead of just immediately saying yes. Choosing what feels true within you, even if that choice feels uncomfortable. Because again, that is you showing up for you and not abandoning self. Allowing yourself to disappoint others without abandoning yourself. Because every time you do that with the small decisions, you send yourself, your nervous system, a message that you are listening now. I've got you and that you matter and your needs are important. And that's how we start to rebuild that trust in a consistent way, just with the small choices. And when we first start doing this, it might feel unfamiliar and a bit odd, or maybe a bit uncomfortable, maybe. And that's because we may have spent years just overriding, ourselves. And when we choose ourselves in any way, it can feel wrong, alien, not right within us. But that doesn't mean it is wrong. It just means that it's new, and we're creating some new neural pathways by starting to do this in a consistent way. So if you're in a place right now where you feel unsure about something or disconnected from what you actually want, just start by seeing and tuning into, what does my body say about this? Does it feel like a pull towards, a yes? Or does it feel like a move away from, a no? And am I willing to honour that in this moment? So starting with small things like the food that we eat, the drinks that we choose, that can really be, excuse me, my throat's really funny this morning. It can just really be a useful starting point, because it's something that, it's just something that we can practice with ourselves, and it doesn't involve other people to start with. And we can start to really tune into that and start to build up from there, and then it will help us with our more challenging and bigger decisions. So the inner guidance that we have hasn't gone anywhere. It's just been kind of dumbed down and just overridden, and we're not used to tuning into it, but it's still very much there, and it's just waiting for you to listen. And if this is something that you're working through, you're now starting to learn how to reconnect with yourself, to choose yourself, to trust your decisions and stop overriding what you feel, that's something that I support people with in my one-to-one sessions. And I'll pin the details in the comments if you're interested in working with me. So thank you for listening. I would love to hear your comments and how you have navigated this in your own life. And I will see you in the next one.